Good evening. Welcome to the NPRSA Board meeting for May 19th. This is a called order at 6:31. Pursuant to Governor Inslee's Stay Home, Stay Healthy Proclamation 2025, in an effort to curtail the spread of the COVID-19 virus, this board meeting will be conducted remotely. Members of the public are encouraged to attend and participate in the meeting remotely, as described below. And you probably, if you look at the thing, you can see what I'm reading. So why don't we have a roll call?
Okay, Chair Agnew,
Here.
Vice Chair Bess Campbell,
Present.
Alternate Board Member McAuliffe,
Here.
Board Member Marshall, Board Member Mead,
Here.
Board Member Lambert, and Board Member Dembowski.
So with the order that we have, this is just a heads up to all the committee members that you need to sign the authorization signature for Carly. Get at it as soon as possible. Were there any public comments?
I did not receive any written requests for public comment. And at this time, we have one or two, no, just one member of the public in the attendees room. If you wish to say anything, please use the raise hand feature and I will call on you and let you speak. And no takers, so no public comment at this time.
Is there any change to the consent agenda or the agenda? Without no change to the agenda, our next would be the consent agenda. And in this, we're going to look at the approval minutes for the April 21st meeting, and then we have some vouchers, invoices received from April 8th to May 10th in the amount of $163,808. With no comment or discussion on that, I would offer a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Councilman Bess Campbell is making a motion to accept it as presented. Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
I don't have a second yet.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember McAuliffe. We have a motion. We have a second that we approve the consent agenda as written. All those in favor? We do a vote.
Yes, Chair Agnew.
Here, yes.
Vice Chair Bess Campbell.
Yes.
Alternate Board Member McAuliffe.
Yes.
And Board Member Mead.
Yes.
Okay, passes 4-0.
Thank you very much. Reports. We have a couple reports that will be coming up. The Capitol. I'm sorry, Carly. Go ahead.
Thanks. I'm saying good evening to all the board members. Just for your capital repair update tonight will be very brief. I'm planning on bringing a more comprehensive capital repair plan update to you in July as a discussion item. So this will cover more details on several of the projects that we have in motion, including installing the ionization units on the HVAC systems, regrading parts of the patio that are trip hazards, installing a floor drain in the senior center bathroom, and also installing a sump pump and a perimeter drain in the crawl space to address some of the standing water issues. So there's just a few of the things I'll be bringing to you in more detail next month, as well as a few of the other projects that I have been scoping out with our contractor and architect. So more to come there. The other item to update you on tonight is about the American Rescue Plan Act monies. So I'm sure all of you in your respective agencies are having a lot of discussions, or at least will be having discussions very soon about how to distribute the funds that your agencies are receiving through as a pass-through money through the state. So part of the restrictions on these money, or the guidance on this money that was released recently, is that special districts do not receive direct funding through this act. Instead, they can request monies through member agencies. So one of the projects that the NPRSA is working on that is eligible would be the installation of the ionization units on the HVAC systems. The whole purpose of installing these units is to purify the air directly related to the COVID-19 public health pandemic. So if the board is interested, staff would be happy to prepare a letter requesting reimbursement from member agencies for the ARPA monies for that project. So just wanted to gauge if the board had interest in doing that for that project.
Is there any discussion by the board?
And I think this evening, we're just looking for a consensus, Chair Agnew, to proceed to draft a letter.
Yeah, I personally, I would like us to go down that road. I don't,
Could you, one more time, it's an installation of
They're
a
called,
HVAC system.
yeah, they're called ionization units. So
Oh, gotcha.
think of like it's a little machine that gets installed in various places on the HVAC system. And when air is filtered through, it releases ions that purify the air. They've done tests that show that this can catch the airborne COVID-19, along with other airborne pathogens.
Perfect. And is there a estimated cost?
I don't have an estimated cost yet. It would be under around $150,000, but next month I can bring back a more concrete number after we receive bids.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
any other council members want to discuss?
That would be total or per member agency?
That's the total cost. An idea
Okay.
we had would be to request in the same proportion that the member agencies pay for their the member agency dues. So it'd be that percentage based on population.
That was going to be my next question. That's perfect. Thank you, Carly.
You're welcome.
Anything to add, Councilmember Mead?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I think you have some direction. Next, we're gonna have Brooke Knight enlighten us.
Well, I also have just a brief update for you all tonight. So we started resuming additional services in our facility on May 1st by appointment only or pre-registration only. And that has gone well, although we have learned a lot. I would say we have been a little surprised by how quickly things are changing in terms of guidance from the CDC and from the state. And so we are in process of figuring out what that means. At this point, we are not changing our masking protocol for the senior center. We are waiting for additional guidance from L&I. Potentially, we've heard from King County Public Health that they may be issuing some additional guidance. And what we don't want to do is have to flip-flop several times. So we're kind of just holding tight for a bit and waiting to see what more direction might come. Likewise, with the vision that we will be fully reopen on June 30th as a state, we are busy trying to figure out what that means. It will likely still be an iterative process for us. We have staff that we need to rehire. We've been heavily dependent on senior volunteers historically, many of whom are not interested in coming back at this point. And so we're kind of trying to back into a plan in terms of where do we have staffing, what do we need, and how do we make that happen? So I don't anticipate that on July 1st, we're going to be back to where we were on March 3rd of 2020, but we are continuing to grow and looking forward to having more folks back in our building. So it's an exciting time. It's definitely a time of probably the most rapid change we've ever undergone as an organization. So a lot of stuff happening, and yet it's all kind of, none of it is really big and exciting and sexy. It's just a lot of little stuff behind the scenes to get us ready to open. So that's that.
So may I, Brooke?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I applaud you for just taking it one step at a time and, trying to be really careful as you move forward, because we know our seniors are the most at risk. But what would be helpful for me if I would know kind of what kind of volunteers you need? Because I know a lot of people that volunteered there and would come back, but can you provide some kind of, will a coffee shop open? Do you need somebody to volunteer for events? What kind of volunteers are you looking for? Because we can help.
Yeah, absolutely. I can send you the link to the page on our website where we do try to keep it updated. We are looking for people to work at our front desk. We will be looking for people to work in our coffee bar. We will be looking for people to help with our community dining program and helping set tables, prepare food with a chef. You don't actually need to know how to be a fabulous cook. We are looking for people, we have been looking for people to help sanitize rooms. I think we'll probably still continue to do that because it's probably, again, better to be safe than sorry. We are looking for people to help with our Farm Box Fridays, yard work and garden work. We pretty much, if you have an interest in something, we could probably find a place for you to do that.
Right.
We have so many opportunities right now.
Right. And I know a lot of people would really like to help. So that gives me a good idea. Yeah. Of where the needs are.
Thank you. Really, we'd love your help. Yep.
Any other comments or questions for Brooke?
Question, Lambert.
Question, Councilmember Lambert.
Thank you. Did you say that some of the people didn't want to come back? And so are you trying to interview them to see what is their threshold for coming back?
Well, yes, some of our volunteers are not interested in coming back, but that's not necessarily related to COVID. We have volunteers who've moved to Arizona to be closer to family. We have volunteers who used to volunteer 4 days a week for us and are now kind of like, you know what, I'm actually digging this retirement thing. I'm not I'm not so interested in coming back right now. So it's, I think we've all had a lot of changes over the course of the past year and have reevaluated what we're all doing, and our volunteers are exactly the same. So we do have a number of our longtime volunteers who have come back and are already currently participating, but it's just a little bit of a different mix. And, when you used to have 6 people signed up every day to work in our coffee bar, and now suddenly it's like, we're opening again soon, to fill all of those slots it's just, we're kind of starting from scratch a little bit.
So one of the things that I've been hearing lately is that people are afraid to come out because they've been gone for so long. And kind of they don't even really, one lady said to me, I don't even know how to make friends with people anymore. I don't know how to do the approaching conversations anymore. And I'm like, oh, it's only been a year. But for some people, that's very disconcerting. So I'm wondering if there's something that we can do to kind of make a game out of it. Hey, you haven't really been out for a year. How do you come back? And how do you make friends? And what are some openers? Just as a way of kind of making it okay to question coming back out again, but we're happy to have you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I will definitely give that some thought. I feel not dissimilar from that myself. Any social graces I once had have long since gone away. So,
well, we'll all talk to you. But I even noticed that at restaurants. You look at the people out eating, and you're like, a year and a half ago, you would not be eating with your fingers, and you would not be slopping it on your shirt. And I'm thinking, wow. I wonder what it looks like at their house at the dinner table. But people just get used to, being alone. And so bringing all those social graces back is important too. So, thank you.
Councilmember McAuliffe.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think this is really important. My sister is 82 years old. She has not been out of her house other than to go for a walk for a year and a half. I will take her somewhere like to Bellevue Square. She is not orientated anymore. Now she's doesn't know exactly where to go because a year and a half is a long time to stay away from a place. And so I think bringing people in gradually and orientating them is really important.
Yeah, I really like that idea. And I think we can talk about maybe doing a reopening orientation or something as part of that. I like that.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, thank you very much, Brooke. We have one discussion item that we're going to discuss tonight. And that's consideration of a resolution -R 5A-R-21-02 appointing an executive director as an auditing officer. Carly, were you going to present this?
Yes, I'll take this one. So this item is asking the board to consider whether or not they would like to appoint your executive director, Kelly Mazzoli, as an auditing officer of the board. And really what that means is that Kelly, in her capacity as your executive director, would be able to sign vouchers on behalf of the board. So the reason we haven't brought this to you before is that we didn't meet the requirements in state law until your last meeting in April when we obtained sufficient insurance coverage. So now you have the insurance coverage to have an auditing officer. And we also have the right internal controls in place, not just to be compliant to have this, but to have it be a functioning and efficient business practice. So if you chose to go down this path, there are only a few instances in which your executive director would sign vouchers. Primarily, that would be for items that the board has already approved in your approved budget. They'd be for invoices for projects you've already authorized in your capital repairs plan, or for invoices for agreements that you have already entered into. If you also chose to go down this path and have an auditing officer, any vouchers that Kelly signs in her capacity as your executive director would be brought back to the board at your next meeting as part of your consent agenda as just a good check that you are seeing what is being signed and what monies are being expended. So if you choose to approve this, we have a resolution attached to your agenda bill, and then also a form that we would route to King County with Kelly's signature. That's the end of my presentation.
Any questions about this resolution? No questions? Is there a monetary limit that she would have?
No.
So I'll just add in here, Chair Agnew, the monetary limit comes with what contracts I'm able to sign, and that's the policy that the board has already put in place. So I'm only able to enter into agreements up to 100,000. But on the payment, so we're already entered into those contracts or agreements. So you've seen them at some point.
And approved them.
Or know about them, yeah. It has to be something that's budgeted or.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Councilmember Lambert.
Thank you. So in the paperwork someplace, it said 50,000. So what did I see last night that said 50? Oh, there it is. I see it again. Oh, that's the bonding limit that she was just talking about. Okay, I thought I saw it in one other place too.
Right, there's two options to be compliant in state law. One is to have that bond. The other was to obtain crime insurance coverage, and the board has that now. And that's I don't recall off the top of my head the limit on that. I don't know if Kelly, you remember. It was sufficiently more than 50,000 though.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Bress Campbell.
So are we still going to receive, on the off chance that there are invoices that we have not pre-approved, those would still come to us as a consent item as well?
That's correct.
Okay.
And in
Can I-
this, it's very hard for me. I thought through that, and it's hard for me to come up with a situation in which that would happen, because you are giving us direction for projects, you're giving us direction in the budget. So I don't know what that situation would be.
Exactly that one. That was going to be what would that look like? But are most of the invoices we receive, are they net 30? Are they net 15? Or is it just the policy to pay as soon as you receive?
It depends on the contractor. I can give you an example. Your contractor that's doing your HVAC repairs is billing us monthly. And so those are a smaller amount per invoice. Your water heater project is going to come as one net sum, which would be around $90,000. That's a little bit bigger.
Okay.
We haven't gotten into some of the other big projects that are slated for repair this summer. I'm not quite sure yet how those will come in.
But when the $90,000 comes in, Kelly can just write a big fat check and no problems, and we'll just see it on the invoice, on the consent calendar.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you would see it on the following meeting. Mhm.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks, Carly.
You're welcome.
Councilmember McCullough, did you have a question?
No, I did not. I was going to do a recommended action, but I want to be sure all the questions have been answered.
Are there any other questions?
Then I move to approve resolution R-21-02, appointing the executive director as an auditing officer.
Second,
Second.
Not quite sure who seconded it. We had a couple real quick.
go ahead, Rachel.
Rachel did.
Rachel. Bess Campbell was the second on the motion to approve the resolution R-21-02, appointing the executive director as an auditing officer. Any questions on the resolution? With none, I'd be looking for a vote.
Okay, Chair Agnew,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bess Campbell,
Yes.
alternate Board Member McAuliffe,
Yes.
Board Member Mead,
Yes.
Board Member Lambert,
Yes.
and Board Member Dembowski.
Yes.
Passes 6-0.
Wow. Moving right along. Next we have is just future meetings on June 16th, July 16th, August 18th, and September 15th. I hope everybody puts that on their calendar. I'm sure we'll send you a little email saying, hey, guys, we're going to meet this day at this time. And again, I'm going to reiterate that for all the board members that haven't signed the authorization signature, please feel free to get in touch with the City of Bothell and sign the authorization signature.
Chair Agnew, may I comment on some of the future meetings?
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask the board, we were sort of looking, we've been going along hot and heavy here for quite a few months. We know that we have some items that we would like to bring back to you in June for sure and give you that big capital repairs plan update. And so we're wondering if the board would like to take a break either July or August. And just was wondering if y'all might want to have a little bit of conversation around that if you'll entertain that.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to comment on that if it's possible. I would rather plan it and cancel it than not plan it and need it. And I think that in this transition time, with the weather being nice and probably a lot more construction will get done, they'll probably have issues that come up with construction because we all know with construction you have issues. And hearing if there's opportunities, Brooke, that you might like some of us to show up at, to mix and mingle or, whatever, so that we can know how we can be helpful, because I think the next couple of months are going to be really pivotal.
Mr. Chair.
Councilmember Bess Campbell.
So the July 16th meeting, that's a Friday. I think that's supposed to be July 21st to be the 3rd. Is that correct? With the 3rd Wednesday? Okay. 'Cause otherwise, I was going to say a Friday meeting. What?
Yes, that is a typo.
All right. I wanted to make sure because I knew I was going to be out of town. I thought, oh, no, I can't miss a meeting. Not that we don't have cell coverage, but as a part of that, are we thinking about going back to in-person meetings after June 30th? Has that been in the plans in the works?
That's a great question. So there's still more guidance that's coming out on that. I know the governor announced that we are reopening, but as Brooke mentioned earlier, what that means, it's still kind of questionable in the air. So we're not exactly sure if that's if he's going to rescind all of the proclamations that are currently in place. And we're working on it as far from the staff perspective and looking at ways to potentially do hybrid meetings. We are not quite there, but we are going to bring information back to the board for y'all to have a discussion around that item as well. So anyway, long story short, we don't have the answers yet, and we're working on it, and the city's also working on it as well, as I'm sure you are in your jurisdiction as well. Trying to figure out what that looks like.
Exactly. That's the same answer that I got from our city manager. So I'm glad that everybody's sort of in the same boat of we're waiting and we're seeing, and then we'll wait a little bit more. So I was just curious if we're anticipating. I know that as a city, we're looking at, September, just given logistics. So either way is fine, but I was just wondering if there was any thought on it, but it sounds like there's a lot of thought, and that's the problem. So we'll get there. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
We're in the same boat from our jurisdiction. So talking from the city of Bothell side, we're looking at September is sort of what we're looking at right now as well. But I will remind the board that your bylaws do allow you to potentially hold virtual meetings, but we'll have to make sure that we're meeting any open meeting requirements and have a place for the public to come in and to view the meeting. So there are some logistics to that. Also that we'll have to consider, but we'll be able to pivot depending on the guidance that comes out, and we'll be in touch with Chair Agnew to figure out the path forward.
Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chair, this is Rod.
Councilor Grabowski.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for being late. I'm out here inaugurating the barbecue for the season. So forgive me. There it is. It's old but trusty. Hey, I wanted to let you know that the county council is putting together its next budget, spending these American Rescue Plan dollars. And we have some language that I've been working to include in the budget to support senior centers that are not owned by other jurisdictions like cities that have received direct American Rescue Plan money. So I know that the city of Bothell gave some CARES Act money, I think, in the past year to the senior center to support it. But because you all are kind of independent, there could be an opportunity for some additional funding. And Councilmember Lambert and I pledge, I'll speak for her here, she can change what, to keep you posted on this. But we know that the pandemic really, Brooke let us know, has impacted revenues from programming significantly. And we're going to try and be as helpful as we can from the county with some of these federal dollars.
And Rod, I totally agree with you. I think that the wording of the language, as I saw in one of the drafts, may not be quite right.
Yeah, I agree. We got to do a little fine tuning.
Yeah, the way it reads right now, if you were a hub and got the original money and then didn't get the money last year, that you still don't get the money because originally you got the money. And that doesn't make any sense at all. So
we're trying to help those most in need that don't have a straight shot at those federal dollars.
Yeah.
May I ask a clarifying question of you both, county council members?
Sure. We'll take
Um,
questions.
You both joined just after the report section, and Carly had mentioned that we are planning on drafting a letter requesting funding for the ionization units that are being installed in the senior center to directly respond to COVID. And so we were already talking about that. So it sounds like we're right on track with where you're going. And so I guess my question is, though, will it include, should all requests between the North Shore Senior Center and the NPRSA come in one letter from the NPRSA, or will the language allow for both? Like if Brooke has some additional things that she would like to ask for that maybe are outside of the building facilities and things that the NPRSA is handling, would she have an avenue to do that, or should we coordinate and send just one request in? I know that might be too much detail, but it just popped in my head. I want to make sure we know. And we're coordinating and doing that if we need to do that together.
So I'll answer if you tell me that you agree or disagree. How does that sound?
All right.
Like you got your barbecue going. And what time's dinner, by the way? And I like it. Well done.
It's steaks, Kathy. You're not a meat eater, right?
Oh, let's see. I've eaten 2 bears, 4 elk. Yeah.
I know.
So anyway, I think that since you're separate entities, that you should apply. And then once you're awarded money, that gives you kind of a double chance to get money. And it has a symbiotic relationship that one getting it helps the other and vice versa. So I would say that apply since you're both different entities separately. Rod, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And it's flexible enough, I think, under the federal guidelines that both capital improvements like those air sanitizers and operational losses would be coverable. So we'll work on the language. We can't guarantee anything, but we're trying to make sure that senior centers like North Shore that, say like the city of Renton has a senior center. It's owned by the city. They got direct federal money. You all are not at that trough directly, right? So we're trying to kind of bring some of those dollars to level the playing field.
And
That's
this
really
is
helpful.
the 3rd time today that I've been asked about ionization HVAC. So, it's like, if you hear it 3 times, something's up here. So I'm wondering if there's some way that we could find out how many people need ionization HVAC and see if maybe we could get a group rate or something to, make it cheaper if we're going to know a lot of people and be helping financing that. So that's something we should look into to see if that could be helpful.
We're just at the appropriation stage now, but we'll get it in there, set the money aside, and then we can help you on the executive grant making side.
Yeah. And I'm glad you didn't like that language in what senior center.
I tried. It's weird to kind of, it needs a little refining. We can work together on it, but I'm glad you're watching it, Kathy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What time did the meeting start? I thought it was right on time.
6:30.
Oh, okay. Then it was right on time, other than I had to answer the doorbell. Okay, good.
Yeah, we just moved right along without you. Once we got it going, we were going.
So that's okay. I read the packet, so I knew how the ending ended.
Yeah, well,
Tom, you need to file again. We're not letting go of you.
oh yeah, you
You
are.
can run a meeting like this.
No. Well, without any,
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anything for the good of the order?
Just a clarifying question, Carly, are you going to send out what we need to sign, or is it sitting in my email pile somewhere?
Good question. No, you're good to go for now. The outstanding signatures I need on last month's authorization form are from board member Lambert, Mead, and Marshall.
So can you stay on after this call so you and I can discuss that? It was an interesting situation that I'd like to discuss with you. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll ask our former board clerk to stand too to help.
Yes, I'm here, and I will stay on the line for you, Kathy. And then also I wanted to note that I did receive the notification that Jared Mead signed it while the meeting was going on.
Excellent.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Mead.
Did I
Um,
just miss that someone confirmed that I had signed it? That was going to be my question.
Yes, it's been
Okay.
confirmed. So thank you very much for that.
So Rob, are you still on, Rod? Oh, too bad. It's hailing at my house right now. So Scratch coming to dinner. It's hailing here.
Okay, well, with that, I think we can adjourn. Thanks everybody for the meeting. We got a lot done in a short amount of time, and see you next batch.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Bye. Thanks. Good to see you.
good to see you. Welcome back, Kelly.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Did you have fun in San Diego?
Sure did. Tons of fun. It was great. Great weather, great sand, great beach. It was good.
And what's the hotel? Let me think. The big hotel, the white one on the beach. Can you hear the
The
hail?
Hotel Del. Yeah.
Yes. You can hear the hail? It's coming down really hard. Wow.
I'm hearing it sounds like somebody typing, but yeah, I was hearing it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we can stop recording because the meeting's over.